What is up, everybody? This is Nicholas Mainous with the More Growth Podcast. Today is October 25th. We are on episode 2, and we got a jam-packed episode for you today. We got lots of topics that we want to discuss in regards to, obviously growth, philosophy, energies. One big thing that I want to talk about today is the philosophy of Stoicism, and we're going to explain that, think about how we can apply that type of thing to our actual life and integrate that into things that we want to do. But yeah, so I'm having a great day today. I woke up, I did some yoga. I finished my yoga teaching instructing course. Now I'm just waiting on a confirmation that says that I can start teaching, and then we're going to start teaching here really soon. I'm very excited. It's really cool because it's full circle. It's like I can use what I learn, what I talk about on this podcast, and tell it to people that I'm going to be teaching. It's very, very cool. I'm very excited. The influence aspect, the ability to change people's lives and help them grow not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. Very, very excited. So, a couple of things that we talked about in the last episode. Let's see here. So, the vision board. As for the vision board right now, I'm kind of putting that on hold. And I would say I'm putting that on hold right now just because of just other things that I'm putting energy into right now. And I was creating the vision board, and everything happens for a reason. And for some reason, there was something in me that was like, maybe not now, maybe don't do this yet. And a couple of things unfolded that we'll talk about. And now, like, I have more clear of a vision on what I exactly want to manifest. And so I'm happy that I haven't ordered it yet because I would have been mad if I ordered it and then I got it and I was like, "Oh, damn. Wow, I wish I would have put that on there," or "That's not exactly the, intention or thing I wanted to manifest." So yeah, we're gonna put that off for a little bit, but I'll keep you guys updated. Also comment, like, subscribe, share the, podcast. We appreciate all your guys' support. Also, tag us and let us know, like, are you making a vision board? What are things that we talked about that you would like to put input on as well? We're very open to ideas and connections and whatever works. And so let's see what we're going to get started with today. The one big thing that we wanted to talk about today was Stoicism. And so I was listening to Jay Shetty's On Purpose podcast. So at work, I will put my earbuds in or one earbud. I will throw on a podcast, take my little notepad, as you can see right here, and I'll just put in like little timestamps of times I can go back into that resonated with me on the podcast. So if I listen to something, I'm like, oh, 3 minutes and 30-second mark, write that timestamp down. Then I can come back whenever I have free time and go back and listen to that, take some notes on it, and then take that, integrate it into my life as well as like, okay, how can I articulate this in a modern context for people to understand. And then with that podcast, I'm going to connect it to a different podcast. So like I'll take an idea or something I learned, tell you guys, and then along the line of episodes, we'll be like, oh, remember when we talked about this? Well, in this philosophy or this podcast, they explained it in this context. So we get a clear understanding of, what we're talking about here. Um, let's see here. All right, so Stoicism. Stoicism, um, it's a philosophy, not a religion, not really spirituality, a way of life. And they operate under 4 cardinal virtues: practical wisdom, temperance, justice, and courage. Let's talk about the first one: practical wisdom. The ability to navigate complex situations in a logical, informed, and calm manner. So when something happens, taking all of your options and looking at different perspectives and thinking, what is the most logical way that I can do something that benefits me, doesn't harm others, and I'm not using my emotions and acting out. I'm being mindful. When something happens, let's say you're at work and right when you get to work, for instance, I work on the marina, let's say someone calls on the radio and they're like, "Oh, we need fuel immediately, 400 gallons, bring us ice." It's like immediately, like the emotions in me are like, "Oh, like, are you kidding me? I just got here." But taking that step back, taking that breath when you feel that inside, embrace that feeling and let it go, and then eventually in your head, it's like meditation. Meditation, these thoughts come and go. That's how you practice it in real life in a sense, is that when you feel something, when you see that thought or idea, breathe it out, and then it will go away, and then make that logical decision. Okay, if I get that call and I feel bad about it, I'm still gonna relax, calm down. It's part of my job, not let my emotions get the best of me in a sense. So yeah, that's the first one. Practical wisdom. The next one's temperance, is the exercise of self-restraint and moderation in all aspects of life, not abusing things like drugs or food or sex or just really anything. Don't indulge into it. And it makes it not as special as well, from my understanding. So for festivals, if I'm going to a festival, like, I don't know, every single week, it takes the magic out of it. Like for myself, like I like going to a lot of festivals, but I like to space them out because it makes it more magical for me and it makes it more worthwhile that I have worked all this time and put all this effort into work and doing all these things so that I could have this amazing experience. Um, and so yeah, that goes for drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff. Is just not abusing that type of thing, and it's not just drugs and alcohol and all that, it's other things as well. Justice, treating others with fairness even if they have done wrong. It's like the golden rule. If you wanna treat people like you wanna be treated, just because someone is mean to me does not mean that I need to be mean to them. It does not mean that I need to, you know, give them that energy. That's ego. It's like, "Oh, if you call me a name, oh, I'll call you an even worse name," but that's what is that doing? That's just creating negative energy, and at the end of the day, it's more challenging and it's more rewarding when if someone treats you badly to say, "It's okay." Feel that emotion, breathe it out, and understand that you do not need to reciprocate that negative energy back to them. Um, and it's kind of, in a sense, humorous, act like it's fun. It's like, "Oh, you wanna be mean? Well, I'm gonna show you I'm gonna kill 'em with kindness." You know what I mean? I'm gonna be genuine. I'm gonna f under I understand that you are feeling pain, you know what I mean? And whatever that person may go be going through, it has nothing to do with you. Don't take it personally, and, don't make any assumptions as well, just understand, be there, don't let it affect you, move forward. Next, courage, not just in extraordinary circumstances, but in daily challenges with clarity and integrity. So, obviously, if I wanna go and jump out of an airplane and skydive, that's gonna take a lot of courage, right? I mean, it's relative, so for some people it might not, some people it might. But what they're talking about is not those giant acts of courage, it's the little things every day. It's what, in a sense, I'm doing right now. I'm sitting here and just recording this podcast, and at first, everyone has that initial fear of, "Oh, what will it sound like? What will I look like? What will people think?" You know what I mean? The fear of it, you know what I mean? But when you get past that fear, on the other side of that fear is destiny, is happiness in a sense, and we'll get more into that as well. We got some really good quotes from Ryan Holiday, some different philosophers, and then we'll touch on those and what they're trying to say and explain and see how we can apply those to our life. But whenever you feel fear, it all comes back to that breath, that feeling. Just breathe in, feel it. Don't resist it, because when you resist it, that creates conflict, depression, anxiety. Just be. Let the universe. You are a part of the universe, so when you feel that, it's you're supposed to feel that. You know what I mean? Don't resist it. Embrace it. Um, and like I said, embrace the fear and turn that into power. Use fear, turn it into power, and you can create and manifest some beautiful things. Um, so just a list of really cool, not cool, list of philosophers. I'm sure they are cool people. I mean, if I'm talking about their stuff, they gotta be pretty cool. Zeno of Cyprus, he is the one I believe who coined. I don't know if he coined the term Stoicism or if he found it, but he was one of the originators of Stoicism. Then you have Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, one of the more popular Stoic people. He was an emperor of Rome. And he has got a lot of really wise things that we're going to talk about. He has got this book called Meditations, and my roommate Logan actually, he is reading it, and I read a couple of pages at first. And I'm like, wow, hard grammar, hard read, hard read. But I'm obviously taking the time to read something, even if it's hard, something especially as powerful as that kind of a book. I'm sure has universal, timeless application. Shout out Jay Shetty, he coined that. And then Seneca, and then modern day Ryan Holiday, he was on the Jay Shetty podcast, and he had a lot of really good things to say that we're going to talk about and connect the dots between certain things. So different qualities of a stoic. They're calm under pressure, avoid emotional extremes. It always comes back to that, you know, logical judgment of what you should do rather than lashing out and letting your emotions get the best of you, being angry and hitting a wall instead of taking that breath and being like, breathe, walk away. They're not self-centered. Examine impressions. So what is under your control? What can you control? They believe that there is society, right? And some things happen in society that are out of our control, but it is our responsibility to not ignore the things that are out of our control, but to understand that they are out of our control and to not put energy into those things because they are out of our control. But instead, taking action and putting in energy into things that we can control and living naturally. If you worry about things that are out of your control and scenarios, like you're gonna get depressed and anxiety, have anxiety, and start freaking out about it. Um, but if you just focus on things that are under your control, you'll be a lot more happier, and you'll take the action. You'll see those little steps: one action, two action, three action, four, one step, two step. Then it will manifest into something giant. Um, and so another thing is, change is a universal law of nature. That's something that they believe. The world is always changing. We are always changing. We are part of the universe, and we have to be able to adapt and grow to different information that we receive. We are supposed to, apply whenever um, whenever you get information. Ryan Holiday talks about in the On Purpose podcast, you should question it even more. You get more answers, and then there should be more questions. Because at the end of the day, we don't have the answers. We're just trying to make sense of everything from the human understanding. But the human understanding sometimes only goes so far, and you just have to take things for what it is. It just is this thing, and it just is. But we'll get more into that type of stuff and, connect the dots more on the being and the is and the moment of things and stoicism a little bit later. Life is impermanent, like we said, it's always changing. And let go of attachment. Do not be attachment to things. I love this sweatshirt, you know what I mean? But in reality, it's just a sweatshirt. If I lost a sweatshirt, I shouldn't grow an attachment to it because it's just a piece of clothing, just like anything, just like as you know extreme of a situation as losing a phone or something like that. It's just a piece of phone. Like I lost my phone, and everyone's situation is different. I lost my phone or broke my phone, fell in the water at work, um, and I had to go get a new phone. And I was like, "Oh man, I don't have money for this right now. I'm stressed out." But it's just that feeling in that moment where it's like, "Ah, damn! Like I have to do this." When you go get the phone, when everything's said and done, it's like, "Oh, wow, that wasn't really that bad." Like, I mean, I may have spent like 200 bucks, but at the end of the day, like, it all works itself out. So let it go of the attachment of how things are. Be willing to change, and that goes for experiences in just in your life and like material things as well, and people and relationships. Letting go of past friends. People move on, people grow, and that's fine. If you used to hang out with a ton of people back in the day and you're not hanging out with them now and you just move on and move forward, that's okay because at the end of the day, they're living their life and you're living yours, and you should only be focused and concentrated on, improving yourself and growing yourself, as well as keeping in mind, having the love and empathy and helping others as well along the way. But so um they think that everything around us operates according to a web of cause and effect action. Things that we do, decisions that we make, actions we take result in what happens in the universe. We create our reality, right? So, like, if I want to manifest destiny, I have to take actions towards doing that certain thing. I can't just expect it to happen, right? Um, you have to take action, and then we may not have the cause and control over things. Obvious, the control over different things as well. Um, so yeah, let's see here. So why don't we dive into some Marcus Aurelius quotes and see what he had to say and kind of uh, analyze some of the words. Um, let's see here. Okay, now this goes back to what we were talking about presence and breath and treating others as you wanted to be treated and not letting the actions of others affect how you treat people and their negative behavior not affecting you. So Marcus Aurelius says, and I found this in the On Purpose podcast with Ryan Holiday and Jay Shetty. Marcus Aurelius says, when you awake in the morning, tell yourself the people I will deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil, but they cannot implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together like feet and hands and eyes, to feel at someone, to turn your back on him. These are obstructions. And so let's break this down. So when you awaken in the morning, tell yourself that I will deal with people that are meddling, ungrateful, and arrogant. So understand that not every single person you deal with throughout the day, I mean, obviously, is not going to be, all awesome and happy and filled with life and energy, you're gonna run into so many people that just have issues going on, they're dealing with pain and suffering, and you have to understand that that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them and their life situation. They're not worried about what you got going on in your life. You're doing you, they're doing them, and you have to just realize that it's okay. Just it's okay for them to feel that way. It's part of the world. Don't let that affect you. Um, they cannot tell good from evil. They do not know what they do. They do not understand the energy that they are putting out because they are in pain. They are in that subconscious energy where they are just reacting and they're not intentional about what they're doing. That is also what Ryan Holiday speaks on is in the morning. He talks about, and I second this. Morning routines are so powerful because in a sense, you know, you are protecting the space for, creativity. And so, hold on a second, let's find this, I gotta take a look at this exactly, I don't wanna get across it. Yes, so morning routines, right? And so, when you wake up and if I take that cold shower, if I go and meditate, if I practice affirmations and gratitude, not only am I getting things done, I'm working on internal work, but I'm building momentum, and it's building an intention. So he talks about don't Ryan Holiday says, "You don't wanna be you don't wanna react. I mean, you can react later in the day, but you wanna get the important stuff done first. Set that intention and go through your morning routine, and it'll in turn give you the momentum to create something cool or to get more things done. I think if you wake up in the morning, obviously, if you look at your phone and if you react to a bad tweet or a bad post or a text you did or didn't get, an email, it could just completely shift your whole day. Momentum, back to momentum. That one thing created a momentum of different effects that from your perspective were negative. So like that one negative thing, now everything's negative to you, but it's all perspective, right? It's all the way you think of it. It's all about your focus. So that one thing right in the morning, it's already like you've already set the tone for the day. So morning routines are powerful because of that reason. It does protect the space to be creative. Um, Okay, back to the Marcus Aurelius quote. "But they cannot implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. They will not affect me. I am protected in my space. I know what I stand on. I know what I stand for. I know my values. I know who I am, and I'm not gonna let that negative energy or bad juju or whatever they got going on affect me. But I am going to approach them with love. I'm gonna approach them with understanding. I'm going to say, I know, I know you're going through something. I'm here for you. Let me feel that with you. And Aubrey Marcus talks about that too, being present and feeling that with them, not trying to make, you know, not trying to give them advice, not trying to tell them they should do or shouldn't do certain things, just being like, I know, I understand, I feel that. Because even though we might not be going through the same thing, we all share that same feeling, and we can be there and and explain like, I get it, like I'm there, I understand. Um, and so finally, we were born to work together like feet and hands and eyes. We are one collective consciousness. We are one God universe, right? We are born to work together. That's why we preach so much about collaboration and connection and creative ideas, is because, like, yeah, like I could do stuff on my own, but it's more fun to work together. It's more fun to create something beautiful with someone and then give it to a whole nother group of people. And then that group of people that me and that person gave something to are now creating something for a whole nother group of people. And that's the whole thing. It's like give to others, give to the universe, and beautiful things will manifest. And if we that's the best way. I mean, I will preach on this. That's the best way to demonstrate your gratitude towards the universe is to give to others, use those gifts and abilities, and those creations and that uniqueness about your beautiful self and give it to the world. All right. Um, so a couple other things Marcus Aurelius says. We love ourselves more than other people, yet we value people's opinions more than our own. And they talk about this in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Daniel Carnegie, is we people love to talk about themselves, right? People love to get like, okay, for instance, I don't know, I don't wanna talk about myself or anything like that, but I mean, it's like I love to talk about festivals and meditation and everything really we're talking about now. So, like, if in order not in order, but, like, a good way to get someone to like you or a good way to win someone over is um, uh, sorry, lost my train of thought here. Sometimes that happens, but that's okay. We all lose our train of thought sometimes. Anyways, we're gonna move on. Accept success with arrogance and let the rest go with indifference. Now, I think this is so important, and I think that they were talking about that in Jay Shetty's On Purpose podcast as well as Ron Holiday. And so, accept success without arrogance and let the rest go with indifference. When you do something right? Let's say like I'm creating this podcast, right? So like if I get views on this podcast, yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? If people like it, that's cool. You know what I mean? I appreciate it. You know what I mean? And the love is there. And if people don't like it, that's fine. You know what I mean? If it's not for them, that's cool. You know what I mean? Whether people like it or not, or whether people like something you do or not, you should be indifferent as long as you feel like it is right. If you believe that it's right, and if you think that you should continue doing something because it's out of love and it's your uniqueness and your ability, then you should do that. And whether people like it or not, and that's the thing is even if people like it, don't like consume yourself with the validation of other people based on your product. Um, they say in that podcast, if you sold zero cop, what's more valuable if you sell zero copies of a book and change the world, or if you sell 10 million copies and you get disproven? You know, it's all about what it makes you feel. You know, and I want to help other people and use this podcast to help other people, but it's for my growth as well and what I believe is right. So well, that's why we're going to continue to do this type of thing. Um, let's transition here. So in listening to these podcasts and looking up information about Stoicism, I found these different themes that I think are universal and we can apply them to our lives. So one of the more important themes is be curious, be a learner, and be open to new ideas. Epictetus says it is impossible to learn what you think you already know. If I want to be a graphic designer, I have to understand that there are things and there are aspects that I do not know. You know what I mean? We don't know everything. How could we know everything? Like we said, when you get more answers, you should have more questions. Be curious, be a learner, be open minded to new things and new experiences. If you want to grow, you know what I mean? If you don't be stuck in the mud, look at different perspectives. You know what I mean? Um, I believe I forget who quoted this. Let's see if I can find it. The quote goes something like, "A genius, genius and real intelligence is when someone has the ability to hold two different perspectives in their head at the same time with in regards to one certain subject. So not being like, this is how it's done. No, 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 no. This is the way. Being like, okay, let's just look at the pros and cons to how this is done. Right? Facts. This is the way. This is, you know what I'm saying? And so be curious, be open minded. I've said it, a few times already, but in Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within, he says that one of the most important things that he talked about, um, or not talked about, one of the most important things that he adapted in his life was that intense curiosity to learn. Let's see if I can find the exact. Yes, he said this is what he said. One decision that has made a tremendous difference in the quality of my life is that at an early age, I began to link incredible pleasure to learning. And we'll get into the pain and pleasure and the principles that he talks about to manifest and awaken that giant within and build your destiny. But what he's saying is like, if you're, if by listening to these podcasts, by reading books, you figure out more about yourself. You learn how to live a better life, whether that's self help or just a normal story. You know what I mean? Be curious. If something happens, right, that makes you feel a certain way inside, like let's say someone makes you furiously angry and you feel that rage like build in you, be curious, be like, okay, what happened there to make me feel this way? How can I avoid, you know, that happening again to make me feel this certain way? What can I use and learn to grow? Apply things, you use. Don't be so linear and one track minded. You have to be able to open up to different ideas and new possibilities of different things. That's how we grow and change and the universe evolves. That's the purpose I believe of life is to grow and change and evolve and create. And so be open and it's hard at first, I feel like school makes learning nowadays such a task, like, so much it feels like so much work, But if you link that pleasure to reading and, "Oh, that's what I can do. I can add this. Oh, I write that down." Learn, you know what I mean? Grow. And that's what Tony Robbins talks about is the power of act the father of action is the power of decision. And in decisions, we make a psychic negotiation with ourselves in our head, whether we're going to link an experience to extreme amounts of pain or pleasure. And we make a negotiation with ourselves where we ask, okay, is this thing gonna give me pain or is it gonna give me pleasure? And I'm gonna avoid it if it's giving me pain, and I'm gonna take it if it's giving me pleasure. So when people are, for instance, like smoking cigarettes or drinking, people that are alcoholics and drink, obviously, like everyone has their own situation, everyone has going on what they have going on. But like when you make a certain decision, they're choosing in that moment that drinking that or smoking that or making that decision is more pleasurable than the pain that comes with it. So he talks about this thing called the threshold of pain, and that is when you reach a certain point, like let's say in a relationship, or just maybe you're on a team or an organization, and or you're at a job, and just something switches and something flips in your head where you're like, no, I'm done. I'm done. In that moment, you consciously or subconsciously made a neural connection in your brain that said, okay, that means pain, right? So I believe that in order to link certain things to pain and pleasure, you have to figure out some type of like healthy reward system, right? So like let's say I take notes on whatever topic or I'm taking notes for this. How am I going to reward myself in a healthy way that I'm pushing through and doing this, right? I don't want to I know and I have linked immense pleasure to doing this and to learning this information, and it's more pain it's I like that. I I associate pleasure more with doing that than the pain of not growing. Like, I think it's very painful not to grow and to be able to be your full authentic self and to reach your true potential. And so that pain is greater than the pleasure of doing other things like smoking or going out and doing things that don't add value to the world. Like I want to, in everything I do, try to add value to myself and add value to others. So yeah, let's keep going here. What other things we want to talk about? I think we've been on a roll so far. Lots of good stuff. I mean, the Stoics. I mean, we're gonna really connect different philosophies and stuff together in a sense where, like, we're gonna talk about Stoicism, and we're gonna talk about Buddhism and Taoism and all that stuff, and um, we're gonna talk about all stuff, make connections. So it's like, okay, the Stoics said it this way. Well, how did the Taoics say it? And then what's the difference in between the two? And then how can we merge the two together to create something? All right, let's see. Another thing, okay, so be curious, be a learner, be open to new ideas. Amazing. So another thing that the Stoics talk about is living in the present moment. Ryan Holiday says that this is what stillness and presence means to him. When everything slows down, when you eliminate what's extraneous, when you're fully present in whatever it is you're doing, and you have the ability to direct your thoughts, direct your body, direct your spirits and emotions rather than be directed by them. So let's break that down. When everything slows down, when you eliminate what's extraneous, when you're fully present. So it's like putting effort into effortlessness in a sense where it's like if you take your time, right? If you walk if you take your time doing something and you really focus on the form of it and the presence of it and the process of it, you're more likely to get a much better product than if you were just, you know, quickly doing it or thinking really hard about it or getting lost in it. You know, it's like a basketball player playing basketball or me doing graphic designs or a writer writing, they get lost in it. It's almost effortless to them. You know, you're not thinking about it, you're just lost in the moment. And I believe in those moments you're lost in the universal synchronization of the world, And so um that in a sense is you connecting to the universe, being present in that moment. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Um he says that all great people share some form of stillness and depth. He talks about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was playing. It seemed like everything had slowed down to him because he was so present. He was so like focused and in the zone, just as other people are in their own professions. And something else that they talk about is this thing called alive and dead time. right? And this is a very good way to practice presence and taking action and living in the moment. So dead time is when you wait for things to happen, right? So if you're at the airport, if you're on a bus, or if you're waiting for your friend to pick you up, it's dead time. You're waiting for something to happen. So what can you do in that moment to grow, to take action, to improve? Well, you can focus on your breath and meditate. You can listen to the stillness, you can listen to the silence, feel your body, or you can take action, take notes on certain things, create something beautiful, call a friend, do something productive with that dead time and make it a lifetime. That's what it is what you do with that dead time, that is a lifetime. And I this this is something that I like to okay, so stillness, right? Presence, the ability to do nothing, dead time. Say, for example, a tree outside, right? Tree part of the universe, right? A tree's not going crazy, moving around, thinking all extraneous and overthinking about different things. The tree just is. The tree always just is, and the tree goes through different cycles, and the tree breathes, and the tree feeds other people. You know what I mean, and animals in the universe. But it just is, and so in that dead time, yes, I like to do productive things, but sitting there and being present and just taking a couple of moments to meditate and focus on your breath, it makes me feel like I'm one with the trees in a sense, or I'm one with the universe because the universe, yes, it's always moving and changing, but when you just humans are just like all over the place, right? Just driving around, working, moving around, thinking, writing stuff, eating stuff, doing all this stuff. And it's very nice and refreshing, and it's good for your mental health and your spirituality if you just take a moment to be present and breathe with what you are now. And it's not just about breathing in oxygen. I mean, this is your direct connection to the universe. Your feet, you know what I mean, on the ground, that's one thing, you touch the earth, but like you are literally breathing in the full universal energy when you take that breath through your hands, your feet, and your arms, and your legs, and your chest, and everything. You just feel one giant energy wave. And I think that mastering that skill and practicing that is so important in eliminating stress and anxiety from our lives and inspiring us to take action and to manifest the life that we want to live. And I believe, and he touches on this in the podcast, is that people are scared of stillness and silence. That's why people are always on their phones. That's why people are always, if you're bored, like I'm not saying it's bad to call people, right? But if you're bored and I'm gonna call someone who's all the way in Ohio, why? Yes, I want to catch up with my people, but like they're not even in my reality really. Like this is my reality here in Florida. I don't need to be caught up with whatever they're doing. How can I make my reality better right here, right now? How can I don't want to get caught up in things or people or problems that are far away from me. I want to make an immediate and direct impact on the humans that I'm meeting every day, the connections that I'm making with people now. So it's interesting because when you really sit there and you are still and you just feel, don't you sometimes feel this like restlessness or this rush if you're not this impatience, you know what I mean? And it's because these things come to fruition in your head. The emptiness, as Ryan Holiday says, is shown. The things that you numb yourself from, with the phone, with the drugs, with everything. And so being aware being aware of those things, letting those things go in your head and breathing in that dead time is very powerful. And it's a great way to practice meditation. And I believe that when you do this stuff, you don't start to see the magic of the universe manifest. Like you'll meditate and you'll practice things and you'll start seeing more synchronizations and you'll start just the universe will just go to work, and it's absolutely beautiful. And even when you're moving, Ryan Holiday says that he finds sometimes more stillness in motion and movement, and that's all in like if I'm creating something, right, like a design, I feel like I'm so present and still in that because I'm having so like it's like I love it. It's so much fun. And so I can understand whether that's exactly the point he's trying to make or not. That when you're still and you're sitting down, yeah, you can, you know, that's a path to enlightenment, you know what I mean? It's a path to a better life and a more, tranquility of mind is what the Stoics talk about. That is the presence, the meditation of one with the universe. And so, let's see here. Yes, meditation in motion. If I'm playing basketball, I'm in the zone, I'm focused. It's about focus, you know what I mean? If I focus on my breath, if I'm present with what is going on right now and not up here and more out here, it's beautiful. Beautiful thing. Enjoying the journey. Enjoying the journey. Getting lost in the form, getting lost in the process as we were touching on earlier. It takes 10,000 hours to master something, so people say. Personally, I do not believe that. I believe that it takes just as long as you wanna master something to master it. If it takes 10 years, it's gonna take 10 years. If it's gonna take weeks, it'll take weeks. It's whatever. It's like a deadline, right? Like, at school, like, if I'm like, "Oh, I gotta get this done by this date," I'll get it done. So if you say, "Oh, I gotta master something by this date," you'll get it done. You just take the action, do it. You'll manifest it by just taking the action. And Ryan Holiday says the hours shouldn't be all grueling or difficult. They should be fun. Like it comes back to that. Be a learner. Be curious. Get lost in it. Enjoy the process of everything. This moment right now. Don't get focused on the end goal. Set the intention. Understand what you want to manifest, but then put that in the rear view mirror and focus on the what's in front of you, which is this moment right now. One simple thing at a time. Yes, it's good to have a long term focus, and you should have a long term focus, but you'll see that when you start to manifest things, sometimes the intentional manifestation isn't exactly what the universe had intended. Some things that you do lead to other and bigger monumental things. For instance, when I started doing the graphic design stuff and I started making designs, my friends and I were like, "Oh, what if you make something cool for the podcast?" And then I made the More logo, and Joe he came up with the name MMMORE, and here we are, And I'm taking a little break from the graphic designing portion of my life right now, just because there are things that are calling to me that I believe I need to put more energy into. However, I am taking courses on graphic design. I'm learning it. I'm actively like trying to grow as an individual in that field, like, 'cause that's what I want to do for a career. And so eh, it's just like this. It's like this sometimes. All these things that we got going on in our head, right? We got school, we got work, we gotta eat food, we got tasks, we gotta go to the grocery store. It's about understanding that it's just right now is all you have to deal with, you know? Just this moment. Whatever else is you're thinking about, it's up here. It's not going on out here. It's like sometimes we think that everything that we're thinking about is just running at us a million miles an hour, but that's not the case. And sometimes it's okay not to work on certain things, even though you want to get certain things done. For instance, let's say I want to get something done, right? The universe okay, this is a perfect example. I wanted to go and mail this package, right? I wanted to go and mail this package to a special someone, throw some gifts in there, send it out. However, I got a message a couple of days later before I sent that, and I was gonna send it. I went to the post office to send it, and there were some difficult complications. I was on a real uh, time crunch, and there was a big long line, so I couldn't wait again. Um, but it was I didn't send that out because a couple of days later, I threw something in that box that I wanted to give to a different person because they texted me and they're like, "Hey, man, that Spunyon pin spaceship, I had such an amazing connection to that. Is there any way you could send me one?" And so I'm like, "Boom, yes." And that makes me feel better because it's like in that moment when you feel bad where you're like, "Oh, I wanted to get this thing done," or "Oh, I got all these things," just gotta realize like the universe might not want you to do that thing right now. Tony Robbins quotes, "God's delay is not God's denial." Just because you don't have something right now doesn't mean it'll manifest in the future, and that's the thing. It's like we're so caught up in like wanting things right now, like because of the technology we have, because of our ease of access to information. We need to be able to work hard towards things, and we, you know what I'm saying. We don't want to just if something was easy, it wouldn't be worth getting, you know what I mean? But to achieve that manifestation, knowing that you every single moment of the journey, you completely put all of your energy into each moment. You were a learner, you were curious, and then to see it manifest, it's gotta be just so fulfilling on the extremest of levels. Like imagine like an EDM DJ going up there and for the first time just being up there and seeing that and being like, wow, every single moment, every single act of that journey I enjoyed and it manifested and here I am. And then it makes it so much better and amazing. And so, yeah, just, enjoy the journey, but be present, set an intention, long-term focus, but just one thing at a time, guys. Just one thing at a time. And okay, so this is very cool. Okay. So, learning from mentors I is very, very important in moving forward in a career, moving forward in life. parents are life mentors. They've done this. They've learned from their mistakes. That's why they give us the advice that they do because they had certain stupid experiences. They're like A plus B equals C. Therefore, if little Nicholas is doing this, then I need to tell him this. So A plus B equals C and not D, right? And so the other day, or not the other day, I'd say a couple of weeks ago, I'm at work, I'm walking the docks, and I ran into this guy's name, Stan. And so talking to Stan, and we take an interest in each other, and we're, conversating. And I mentioned that I wanted to do graphic design in there somewhere. And this is exactly where, like, taking the opportunities that the universe presents in front of you, not thinking too hard about it, and just doing and being and just taking advantage of the opportunity, right? It's like the universe is like, here, so grab that and take it. You know what I mean? It's like if your goal is right in front of you and it's like what you wanted, it's like, oh my gosh, like don't run away from that. Like go ahead, feel the fear, turn into power, goals, manifest, boom, action. Anyways, so I told him I was a graphic designer. He's like, oh my gosh, my son and his wife are graphic designers. I'm like, all right, word, what's up? And so he's like, why don't I give you his information and show you his stuff and see if he would be down to reach out to you? And so here we are, couple weeks later, maybe a week or two later, I texted him because I wanted to reach out, but it wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, he gave me his information. I'm gonna call him right now because like at the end of the day, I got other stuff going on in my life. Like as much as I want to do this, like I've things to do. So I wanted to wait till the time was right. Till I felt like, okay, I want to text this guy and have a good conversation with him. So I texted him and he was super like open, amazing. I was like, listen, I am just like this aspiring young graphic designer. I'm in school. Like, is there anything that a professional in the field like yourself could give advice to me in a sense of me? Is there any things I can do? What kind of courses? What kind of of I think the biggest thing is what mistakes did you make that I can avoid? Because it's like people do things and then they don't know, oh, I could have avoided that, right? Experience, make decisions, learn from it, ask your mentors. And so the conversation went absolutely beautiful. I'm very excited to move forward on a lot of things that he told me to do. And I'm excited. I'm just really excited. I've got the yoga teacher training done. I've got college I'm about to graduate, and I just really want to dive into this podcast, growth, and the graphic design thing because I find things that are visual. I love visual things. Like some things I just look at, and some for instance, some people hear certain things and they're like, they feel amazing, right? Like I love creating amazing visual experiences, or I love to see visual things. So if I can create something visual and give it to people, I'm like, heck yeah, I want to do that for a living. And so very excited to see how that unfolds and everything. So let's I want to go back to protecting the space for creative activities. And I really want to talk about momentum because momentum I think is so absolutely important and powerful. And we'll connect that to, like, let's say you have all those things that you have going on in your head, right? And you want to act like you want to get all those things done right away. However, you just do one little thing, right? You just do that one little thing that you want to do, the first thing, right? Priorities list. Thing number one, what action can I do to take to get that done, right? Then you're like, oh wow, I got that done. Okay, now what else am I gonna do? It's like that's why the book about making your bed in the morning, you get that done, your bed looks nice, you open up the space, you clear the room for new energy, for new activities, and that builds momentum. Even and momentum can carry for weeks, months. And if you tell yourself you're gonna get burned out, you're gonna burn out. There are moments in the day, there are moments in those weeks that you can rest. You can do active rest. You can take those little dead time moments and focus on your breath and take that, calm yourself down, rest, breathe, connection to the universe. So yeah, and I think that for myself, I routine is such a powerful part of my life. And I was going through this period where I got back from Lost Lands and I wanted to get back. Like I give myself a little bit of like, okay, that was a lot. That was amazing. Let's just kind of take baby steps into getting back to where we want to go and getting back into that routine. But it took me a while to understand that it was like I was at conflict. It's like, I don't want to do this routine anymore. Like I want to change. There's other things I want to do. And I was like at conflict and I started getting anxiety about not getting things done. But then I realized like, oh, I'm a part of the universe. Like I'm supposed to change. It's okay to change. Just one little thing. What can I do right now? One little activity. And so I changed my room around and I flipped the whole thing and it like in a sense it created space for new things to come, for a release of energy. That was the old, this is the new. And it felt so good to do that. And it felt like I also cleared space in my brain as well doing that. And so, having that routine, but then being spontaneous in a sense where it's like, okay, I didn't expect to walk up to that guy and him to give me his son's information about graphic designing, but it was spontaneous, and that's the universe's miracles. It's like, okay, here you go. And you have to be open to that spontaneity, those spontaneous moments, because there's gonna be chaos in life. There's gonna be things that come up, good and bad, that are just like, whoa, what just happened? Just shift your whole course of everything. And they could just be in that single moment. So just be open, be curious, be a learner. Here we go again. Comes back to it. Be, just be. Be, right? You can only just be. And yeah, so see if there's any other things we should touch on here. I think we've been doing great so far. I love all of the things I'm learning, and I hope that you guys are learning as well. It's been, I really enjoy doing this, and we're gonna bring people on as well. I'm gonna bring on my one of my yoga teachers, Randall. He just went through a 10-day. It starts with a V. It's a type of meditation. He was silent for 10 days. No phone, no words came out of his mouth, and he's gonna come on, and we're gonna have him talk about that experience. My friend Logan, my roommate, very philosophical, very I've never met someone more that has more of a curiosity and genuine interest in life, like, that curious be a learner thing. He's just like, "Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, that's cool." Like, very just like, "Hmm, let's see what the universe has for us here." And so, actually, I wanna show you this. So, something that Logan and I are gonna talk about when he comes on the podcast is Star Wars, right? So we want to talk about things in our childhood. It's going to be like the inner child series or segment where we talk about something that we loved, whether it was Star Wars or Avatar: The Last Airbender, for example, or even SpongeBob or any movie, TV show, music, anything that you did, dinosaurs. Like, let's dive into the depth of that. And so we want to talk about the philosophies of Star Wars and the Sith and the Jedi and how we can relate that to philosophies about the real world in a sense, and like what kind of Stoic philosophies are in Star Wars, what kind of Taoic philosophies, Buddhist philosophies. But I do want to show what Logan did give me. I'm very excited to have him on the show. He'll probably be our first guest. He gave me this Darth Vader uh, little gadget here. So it's the lightsaber. It's just the hilt or the handle, and then here it just is the little holder for it. You guys will come to know that I have very strong emotions towards Star Wars and Anakin Skywalker. Best character development in the history of everything. Very excited to dive deep and talk about that at some point down the road. So, but this has been a great podcast, guys. I really appreciate the love and support you guys have given the More channel and what you guys continue to do for us in the comments and the likes and sharing, subscribing. So make sure to do all of that. And what kind of philosophies do you want me to talk about? Are there certain things that I talked about that you can build on ideas of, or really, let's connect the dots here. Let's make connections. Let's collaborate. Let's figure out the answers, and in turn, once we get answers, we'll ask more questions together. I love you guys. This has been the More Growth Podcast with myself, Nicholas Mainous. Until next time, peace out.